Welcome to episode, the very first one of Driveway Mechanicking. If you don't like it, if you know me, whatever. Anyways, today we're going to be replacing a wheel hub assembly. This one came out of a junkyard today that I pulled this morning, and it's, appears good. This is only a replacement just in case you can't afford another one until your very next payday. So don't use this permanently. Now, if your vehicle sounds like it's a four-wheel drive going down the road and it's only two-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, it's either one, your wheel hub assembly is bad, two, you got transmission problems, or three, it's your CV shaft. Now, after you get through getting your setup here, you got your jack stand. I'd prefer you to be back there. Get you a piece of wood, an old jack, something. Don't look at that dog. He's really relaxed. Anyways, the redneck way of doing things is what I'm going to show you how to do it. Quick, easy, fast, a lot of wrench time. Now, when you first start on everything, before you take your tire off, what I would do is try to break this nut loose. Right here. Try to break that loose. If you can't break it loose, get you a cheater pipe, cheater bar. Use your big brake over right here. On these Equinoxes, on those 6s, it takes a 33 millimeter something. And a brake over and a piece of pipe. Break those loose. Lots of PV blaster. Then after you get this taken care of, what you do is take your brake assembly apart. Now, if you're working on just pulling the part, you ain't got to do all these steps or anything else like that. You're just going to, but when you're working on your everyday driver, you break brake caliper and the brake assembly loose. Now, all you have to do is replace your pull off, not replace. It's been a long day. Take off your brake caliper. Now, if you get all your nuts off, or bolts, that are 9/16ths, grab you one of these pry bars and pull this thing off just like so. Make sure that you have a piece of wire handy because you're going to need it instead of ripping your dang brake line off. Wrap that thing up, hit yourself in the head with it, and then this long spring up here is a perfect holder for your wire. Just pull it up out of the way because you dang sure don't want that in your way when you're working.
Okay.
Now, after you get your brake caliper tied up, get your assembly or your brake caliper mount. These things are usually torqued on by like 1,000 pounds or more, so you're gonna have one of these cheater pots to break it loose. These bolts are usually a 15 millimeter or whatever it is in standard. You just have to test fit every damn socket you got. You have them bolts and stuff. Now, just pull your rotor off, set it to the side, way out of the way, so you don't hit your feet with it. Or hit your toes with it. And now you got the spot where you'll be working. This is what you'll be replacing. You'll be replacing this and that. Alright, note to self. Before you take anything else apart, make sure this thing's broke loose, preferably while the tire is on the ground and everything else. It's the easiest way that I found out how to do things, other than working in a dealership or a regular shop, which I hope to have soon. After you get this thing broke loose and undone, You just continuously take it apart. Then you start on these two bolts right here. These are broke loose too. I pre-broke them before we even started the video. But alright, now when you got these things broke loose, usually if you've never replaced them before, it's not hard to pick up one of these BFHs. You tap that thing, make sure your CV axle pops out. Well, if it does that, go ahead and take off your big old nut here. And then start on the nuts over here on your strap. Yeah, the socket's kind of unknown because I forgot what it was. I just looked at it and stuck it on there. It fit. Imagine that. Alright, useful tip. If them dang bolts don't come out by hand at all, it's okay to use this. Knock crap out of them and they will pop loose. It'll take a little bit longer depending on how much muscle you got, but that barely takes any muscle for me. Look at that cat. Anyways, back to what I was saying. These nuts are 13/16 bolts. Nuts. But you can't get a ratchet or a wrench on. You can probably get a wrench on it. I don't know. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Now, if you pull these, make sure you keep your stuff in line there, you know, so you don't lose it in the dirt and it gets buried. Pop it loose. Done. You got your CV axle out. Done. Just that easy. Now, there are 3 bolts. You know, one here, and one here. You got to break these loose. And then take them off. Then your whole assembly will come out. But I'll show you. Useful tip before you even break these things loose is use a PB blaster, and the threads of this thing, of these bolts, will be hanging out right here. You know, all 3 of them, you just spray it. Useful tip. I made a mistake. Now, just in case this happens, you ain't got a jack stand put up in there, put your jack up under the A-arm to where there's no, you know, it won't. Alright. When you start taking these off and there's resistance, which means that A-arm will start bouncing up and down, get you a jack stand or your jack, stick up under there to where there's no resistance or messing with you taking the bolts off. Then you take this pipe wrench and break them bolts loose. But I was turned the wrong way. After you get your 13mm bolts out of here, then you're ready for the last part before reassembling this whole thing. Now, another indication, you can hear that on my phone because I ain't got a dang video camera or recording device like everybody else on YouTube. If it sounds like that, really rough, moves, all different, you know, all different ways, that means it's bad. This one right here is kind of tough. You can feel the grease in it. It's all good. But for temporary use only. Where did I put my dang hammer? Have you seen it? I just beat the crap out of this thing, and it fell out and hit me in the foot. Wear steel toes when you're doing this. Don't be an idiot like me. Alright, now you got it all taken out. You can tell it's bad. You know it's bad because it sounds like crap going down the road. All you have to do now is rebend your stuff back into shape after you beat the hell out of it too. and put everything back in place in reverse. And when you take it apart, the way you take it apart is how you do it, just in reverse, back together. And if you can't handle that, go to the shop. Alright, so now after a few minutes off camera or phone, whatever, I'm beating this thing back in place. Make sure all your stuff's straight and see how everything goes back together. If there's something off or you need to replace a bolt, best time to do it would be now or before you start. Or always have your son here or your kid, your girlfriend, your wife, whoever you're with at the time watching you, you showing them how to do it too. It's always useful, I always have a second pair of hands if needed, and they know exactly what to do. God, it's so hot. I'm sweating like a sinner in a revival right now. Alright, so when you're putting these things back on, always refer back to your manual, and everything else. Get your right torque specs. Give a few tugs. Torque. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a minute. Anyways, now when you start putting everything back together, curve your CV shaft over just like so. Should pop right into place. Put everything together. Put your bolt back on. Now, tighten this thing down. And refer back to your manual, your torque specs that you found on eBay or YouTube, whatever. In my case, I just tighten it to where I can't tighten it anymore. I don't know if that's a bad thing or not, but it hasn't failed me yet. Can you go over there and move that jack down? Hey, Jack, let it down just a hair bit so I can get these bolts put back in. Just a little bit. Or let it down, whatever you got to do. Whoa. Alright, jack it right back up. A little bit more. Alright, whoa, hold it. Don't do anything. Let it down a hair bit. Down a hair bit. Down. Not jack it up. Don't jack it up anymore. Turn it, turn it, turn it. We're in training right now. Whoa. That's it. That's torqued. Oh. Okay. So when you torque all this, and that, back down to your brake caliper. The easiest way of doing your brake caliper is get you one of these 10-cent, whatever you can buy. Harbor Freight, O'Reilly's, all these on Walmart. Or Orslins or wherever. And put it on here like that. Use one of your brake pads that you get. Stick right here and just twist it and your stuff will go down. The easiest way I've done it all my life. Pretty easy. You won't lose any brake fluid, nothing over it, whatever. But like I said, it takes a little bit. Best way to do it is doing it here or on your lap or whatever. Would prefer you to doing that, but if you look up under there, you won't see no brake fluid running or anything else. So this is completely safe to do. It saves you a lot of trouble. This thing sucks. And now, after that, a few minutes of doing this, you're ready to reassemble your brakes because the deal's all the way down. See, those things are down. They were up here, now they're down here. And everything else should be torqued at this point. Everything else should be going back together at this point. All you're doing is putting your caliper mount back on and putting your brakes back on. So I think this is going to conclude my video for the day. It's getting late. Getting mosquitoes ate up and all that stuff. They're bad out here in the country. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was educational to you and your children, to your wife, or whoever's going to be watching this thing, if it even gets watched. I'm just doing this to try out. But if you like it, give me a thumbs up. I don't know if you can do comments or anything yet. I'm just now setting up YouTube. So, this will be my end of my video. This will be the end of the video. Always have you a cold snack. Thank you, Derek from Basket Garage, for that cool thing. And have a great day.